I'm Eugenia from Food Science and Nutrition 2023 as your host today, and I'm here with
Jocelyn from FS23
and Shirley from FS23.
So, before we start, I actually wanted to know what you guys think about alfalfa in here. Maybe you can start from Jocelyn.
Well, I've heard it's some sort of like animal feed, but I've never really heard it as, part of human consumption.
Okay, what about you, Shirley?
I think alfalfa is considered as a superfood because of its extensive nutrition profile and its bioactive compounds.
For me, it's some kind of legumes that are easily found. But I'm actually curious though, Jocelyn mentioned that alfalfa is some kind of animal feeds. But do you think we can consume alfalfa? And what are the health benefits of it?
That's a really good question. That is why for today's discussion, we will discuss more about alfalfa's mysteries and also scientific explanation behind alfalfa itself.
So let's jump right into it. So, Jocelyn, can you help me briefly explain what alfalfa actually is?
So alfalfa or Medicago sativa is, like you said, a legume. One of its defining features is its symbiotic relationship with the Rhizobium bacteria.
Oh, I see. Now, I'm actually curious about where does it came from? Maybe the origin, the distribution, or maybe why is it so widely cultivated?
I think the alfalfa itself, it is distributed throughout the nations such as North America, Europe, China, and Australia, and it is widely grown in a temperate and subtropical regions which can survive moderate heat and cold.
I see. Now, next up, I'm actually curious about the botanical characteristics. What is the maybe shapes or what about the roots or maybe the stems, the plants itself, how big it is or maybe how small it is?
So the botanical characteristics of alfalfa is known to have a deep root system. It actually survive through potential heat environment or maybe a cold environment. It can still survive because of its deep root system, and it also has purple and blue flowers, which makes them interesting. And I think this alfalfa, it has the potential to also be a biomass or biocompass to also endure the environment.
I see. That's really interesting. Now let's move on to the health benefits and mechanism. Jocelyn, what do you think about the main health benefits and maybe the human consumption history? Is it originally never eaten or maybe people now never know actually about the health benefits of alfalfa? Maybe you can explain more about it?
Well, so what's awesome about that is that even before we have the term functional food itself, it is traditionally used as herbal medicine by the Chinese and also Ayurvedic medicine. So that's really interesting, right? And then certain reviews have also showed that it is used around the parts of the globe, for example in India, in China, Mexico, America, Turkey, and even in Iraq. And this also aids in digestive system disorders, for example, stomach issues like indigestion, and also vascular disorders like blood clotting disorders. So it also extends towards reproductive system improvements, such as improving the menopausal symptoms and also prostate disorders. There are also researches about it aiding arthritis and also kidney disorders alongside respiratory system disorders like cough, asthma, and even allergies. It is also used for the treatment of fever, diabetes, inflammation, which thus makes its increasing popularity as a functional food option and also as a dietary supplement.
Oh, I see. Do you think this alfalfa can be used as combined with some kind of foods maybe? I was thinking about alfalfa with cakes. I think it would be interesting. Is there maybe any research or maybe findings about alfalfa get mixed with some kind of other foods?
Well, so alfalfa is actually most commonly consumed in salads, so it is the most popular type of matrix for human consumption. So this also includes sandwiches, wraps, and smoothies, usually in the form of sprouts. So its leaves can also be used in teas and also powdered supplements, and with its powder incorporated into functional food items, beverages, and even nutraceuticals. So again, like I said, like the tea powder itself can also be used in like tablets and capsules to concentrate it as a dietary supplement. And also it exists as juices and extracts to help detox and serves as a healthy drink.
I see, that's really interesting. Now, I'm actually more curious into the nutritional part of alfalfa.
Alfalfa itself, it has like a high moisture, mostly in water, and it also has a really high protein content. If you process it furthermore into like dry alfalfa, maybe as a snack or as a other toppings to the dishes, it may fulfill the protein content, and then it also has a significantly high fiber, which is approximately 20% in dry alfalfa.
Oh, okay, thank you for the answer, Shirley. Now, I'm actually curious more into the insights of alfalfa itself in terms of chemically. So I'm actually curious about the bioactive compounds. Like, does it contain bioactive compounds, or it just plainly like protein or just carbohydrates and stuff? Maybe Jocelyn can help me.
Well, so according to a research by Rona et al. That we found, supercritical fluid chromatography can be used to separate the flavonoids and also phenolic acids in the alfalfa itself, and it revealed that there exists a leucine which contains phenolics, saponins, and also essential amino acids, chlorophylls, alongside vitamins. So it covers from vitamin A, E, C, and various vitamin B complexes, alongside beta-carotene. So again, most importantly, phenols are utilized to be valuable in the human diet, serving important roles to promote health due to its high antioxidant activity. And there also exist minerals like magnesium, calcium, copper, zinc, iron, and so much more. And these are also present alongside flavonoids, saponins, and also coumarins, phenolic acids, terpenoids, and carotenoids. So if we dive even deeper, well, yes, it is very much rich in bioactive compounds.
Oh, I see. So I didn't know actually alfalfa has many bioactive compounds, but like, what are actually the health benefits? Like, yes, I know that alfalfa contains many bioactive compounds and like a lot of micronutrients too. But what are actually the effects or maybe the health benefits to the human consumption?
It's actually very popular for alfalfa in the research, especially for the reduction of the low density lipoprotein profile in the human patients and also clinical studies. The research mentioned from Barna et al. 2022, this journal explains about how the alfalfa itself has like a low saturated fat content and cholesterol and also sodium, and it also has a high concentration of folic acid, and it is known to have like an antifungal, antibacterial, anti-insecticidal, and much more. And it is also used as a food in humans, and as Justin said before, it can be a herbal supplement. It can be in the form of meals, or maybe you want to eat alfalfa for dinner. And yeah, and also it has like a strong antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and so much more. I think it's really a superfood.
Well, thank you so much for the answer, Shirley. Now, I'm actually curious though, since alfalfa has a lot of fiber, does this mean that in our small intestines, alfalfa actually get fermented, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes. Yeah. And I'm actually curious what happened to alfalfa when it's fermented inside our intestine. Like, is it just gonna be, our feces, or is there still a health benefits for our intestines? Maybe Shirley and Jocelyn can help me.
For the alfalfa itself, it is really known as a high fiber vegetable and also legumes, and I think that's why it's very important if we can consume it for our diet. And also, one of the research here shown that there is actually a bioactive compound, which is very interesting for me to understand because this bioactive compound is known to be saponins. So saponin itself, really it is really useful, and especially when it's consumed through our human body, because it will significantly reduce the serum total cholesterol and also the LDL. When we consume the alfalfa, it will combine with some endogenous cholesterol that is discharged by the bile by binding cholesterol in the intestine to form insoluble complexes. So therefore, it cannot be transported or cannot be absorbed into the bloodstream of human body. And the saponin also bind with cholesterol in liver to significantly reduce the serum concentration itself. And so maybe you're wondering, where does the cholesterol go? So it actually binds like a hydrophilic sort of like structure, and then it will be transported into the feces and be thrown away, therefore limiting our body's absorption of cholesterol. I think that's really explains why one of this research tells that alfalfa can significantly reduce the cardiovascular risk, because cardiovascular risk is associated with high levels of LDL, triglycerides, and much more fats in our body.
I see, that's a really interesting answer. Thank you, Shirley. Now, I'm actually curious though, does alfalfa is actually safe for human consumption? As researchers only shows that the effects of alfalfa consumption in animals. Now, Jocelyn, do you think it's safe for humans to actually consume alfalfa? And like maybe what are the side effects if there is?
Okay, so first of all, again, there's a lack of studies for human clinical studies, and for that reason, we can only create speculations based on the current animal studies we have. So based on a certain research, it is shown that the lethal dose or toxicity of alfalfa is considered acutely non-toxic. So what this means is that in this research, it was conducted for 2 weeks on rats, and in this case, it is able to provide no death and no significant toxicity signs when observed at LD50 greater than 2,000 milligrams per kilogram upon oral consumption. So what this means itself is that it is again low acute toxicity provided and classified as a relatively safe option when it is exposed acutely. So this is based on the OECD toxicity categories, and even proven at the highest tested dose of 2,000 milligrams per kilograms. So this is what translates to no mortality and no observable severe toxic symptoms. So this means there are no coma, convulsions, and negative health outcomes. However, again, this is based on an in vivo research, which means that it is likely safe at moderate doses, but the human thresholds are not defined. So likewise, actually the greater issue itself is from the microcysteines, so from the MCs. So these are toxic compounds that are produced by the cyanobacteria themselves, and it grows in freshwater environments where alfalfa are primarily presented. So why it's actually dangerous is because, for example, we consume cattle on a daily basis, right, for people who consume animal diets, and when these cows consume the alfalfa that has been contaminated with the MC, it enters their bloodstream. And when we as humans consume these alfalfa, those toxic components enter our bloodstream, and this is what causes it to impact the food chain itself.
Oh, I see. That's really interesting, Jocelyn. Thank you for the answer. Now, I'm actually curious though, this alfalfa can actually trigger some allergies in people, or maybe it actually can relieve some allergies in people. Jocelyn, maybe you can help me with explaining about the allergies and relations with the alfalfa.
Okay, so in order to assess allergenicity, obviously we have to involve proteomics, right? So when involving proteomics to identify the proteins present in the alfalfa leaf, it was found that there are 129 proteins present in the extract itself. So this translates to the high similarity with known allergen databases, which includes major plant allergen families like LTPs, thaumatin-like proteins, and also BETV1-like proteins. So what this explains to us is that some of the alfalfa proteins can bind to the IgE antibodies. So this is what triggers that allergic reaction itself. Additionally, there are also potential allergens that were detected beyond computational predictions. So right now, what we're doing are computational predictions, right? So based on what we know from literature and studies, we determined the proteins present. But in reality, there are more potential proteins present, which lacks that studies and research itself. So in general, plant food can be safely introduced as part of the protein-rich supplement. However, those that are allergic to certain plant food allergens need to be careful when consuming alfalfa because of these potential allergic symptoms that I mentioned.
I think I know more about the alfalfa consumption itself. And for the alfalfa consumption itself, it is researched to can modify like gene expressions and like the GLP-1 in the kidney and heart, and also GLP-1 hypotensive action through its interaction with the vascular tissue. And that brings the hypotensive ability of the alfalfa itself to induce the downregulation of the hypertension, because hypertension itself is identified as a downregulation of renal arteries receptions, which can lead to high blood pressures. And therefore, alfalfa can be a potential superfood that can decrease blood pressure, and it is activated when the receptor induces the secretion of a peptide that promotes the decrease of blood pressure.
I'm actually curious though, since alfalfa, if we eat raw alfalfa itself, it's quite dangerous actually. Do you think are there any processing or technological development of alfalfa products that maybe eliminate some microorganisms or maybe eliminate the antibiotics from it? Any mechanism that make alfalfa be safer to be eaten, even though it's gonna be processed? What do you think, Jocelyn?
Okay, thank you for the question, Eugene. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the microbial engineering process. So this involves inoculation with lab strains like Lactobacillus plantarum, which increases the lactic acid production. So this is what accelerates pH decline and suppresses the undesirable microbial populations. So this is what ensures safety. And then there are also enzyme-assisted processing with enzymes such as cellulase, silanase, and also phytase, which are used to degrade the plant cell wall components to increase the fermentable sugars, improve fiber digestibility, and also enhance nutrient bioavailability in humans. So again, there are also processes that optimize these variables. So for example, silage quality is highly dependent on the moisture content and wilting duration, the compaction, density, and also oxygen exclusion, additive type and concentration, and then microbial inoculation strategies, and also raw material maturity at harvest. So when these parameters are improperly controlled, it can result in undesirable microbial growth, nutrient degradation, and also reduce the feed value. So in a nutshell, it basically involves multiple processing parameters, and this is even what is involved in the animal feed production itself, like for example fermentation mechanisms, and also improving the structural and biochemical strains. So it involves a lot of processing conditions.
I see.
And I think I would like to add for the processing technologies and innovations, alfalfa can actually be processed like any other types of food, especially like in vegetables. And the technologies involve like freeze drying, spray drying, and we can also preserve the bioactive compounds, which is because that is the most important part of alfalfa, especially if you want to make it like an extract or improve its shelf life ability and maintain the nutritional quality. Therefore, I think it is really important for us as a food scientists and also food technologists to be able to understand more about the role of temperature, pH, and any other factors that can preserve the bioactive compound itself. And also maybe we could have like enhanced processings of like bioavailability, usability, and also maybe can introduce alfalfa in the future to the commercial food systems. And Jocelyn, do you have any additional information about the processing technology itself?
Oh, thank you so much for the question, Shirley. So there are actually researches about integrated and emerging technologies involved in alfalfa production. So modern alfalfa processing increasingly adopts integrated systems. So this is what combines additives, enzymes, microbial inoculants, and even mixed substrates to maximize the fermentation efficiency and also nutrient preservation. So this involves the utilization of agricultural and industrial byproducts that reflects a shift towards circular bioeconomy models and sustainable feed production systems. So functional silage is also emerging as a bioactive feed platform, which is capable of delivering probiotics, antioxidants, and even antimicrobial compounds to livestock.
Oh, I see. Thank you for your answers, guys. Now that brings me to the next question actually. Do you think alfalfa can be a potential of a functional food, maybe, I don't know, fortified with alfalfa, or maybe inoculated, or maybe get into, or maybe as the main ingredients? What do you think, Jocelyn?
Okay, so I've actually found this really interesting research about the use of fortified alfalfa in fermented milk products. So in this case, it was found that alfalfa, again, like we've mentioned before, is rich in proteins, vitamins, minerals, and also bioactives. So fermented milk itself, as a lot of you have probably know, is already rich in probiotics, right? And it also possesses bioactive peptides. So this is what creates the synergy with, again, the nutritional components of alfalfa as the high-value functional food. What was found in the study is that the dosages used in the studies at around 8 to 10% serves as the optimal range for functional and sensory balance. So while it provides, again, proteins, vitamins, mineral, polyphenols, and even carotenoids, the sensory itself, like texture-wise, aroma-wise, are also maintained. And in terms of the health process, it helps to improve digestibility and also nutrient values, while the challenges include optimizing the sensory acceptance, since higher concentrations are commonly found to negatively impact the taste or textures. There are also cases of anti-nutrients, especially phytic acid, which was discussed based on literature to reduce the impact of mineral bioavailability itself, and that's what creates a greater potential for research.
I see. Wow, that's a really interesting application. So I'm actually wondering though if we can applicate alfalfa in foods probably. What are the target applications in a focused health market? Like, is it probably for newborns if can, or maybe for infants or toddlers? I actually want to know, what do you guys think?
Well, so again, alfalfa is like, it can be produced into powders, right? And I feel like that's the core like interest of technological aspects of alfalfa itself. So there are also researches including those focusing on its potential as protein shakes, smoothies, dietary supplements, which allows it to be, incorporating that traditional and more modern side of alfalfa. So this is what caters us to a greater range of consumer targets, young millennials or Gen Zs like us. Okay.
Right.
And then also, there are also like a huge potential for it to become a part of value-added products such as energy bars, baked goods, and also protein-enriched foods, with functional roles that involve its texture and also formulation enhancement. So again, involving technologies, as Shirley mentioned before, like freeze drying, spray drying, it increases the potential for various applications itself.
Well, that brings us to the end of our podcast right here. Thank you so much to watch our podcast. I'm Eugenia from FSN 23 as your host, and here with Jocelyn and Shirley, we're gonna say thank you for watching us and have a nice day.
Bye.